You might think I'm crazy for not liking branding, but I am not against branding. Again, I am a big advocate of branding at a certain point in the business and depending on what your objective is. This one thing is the reason you are failing to scale your paid media. Now, what is this enigma, you might ask? It is the over-obsession with branding. But what the hell actually is branding? This is a term that you hear all the time. It's passed around across the web, but what actually is it? Who can actually quantify what it is? Now, in its purest form, branding is the perception of your company, your business, your service, your offer as it relates to your place in the world. Now, that could be within your niche, outside of your niche, when somebody's walking down the street and they see somebody with your product. It is the perception of what people think of essentially your business, so the viewpoint. Now, with that, it is generally made up of a set of features. Now, remember that, a set of key features that differentiates your brand, if you will, from another. So with that definition out of the way, you'll now see, because it is a perception, it is very much an intangible object. It is something that you cannot quantify. Now, in this era of digital advertising and digital marketing, we are so fortunate to be able to quantify a plethora of different things. Nearly everything that really moves the needle when it comes to growing your business online can be quantified, can be tracked, and thus can be analyzed, iterated upon, and optimized very effectively. Now, back in the day, I'm talking decades ago, when you couldn't quantify so many things, you didn't have such a plethora of data at your fingertips, it was really the branding that did separate and differentiate your business from another, because that was really all that could be seen, and you didn't have the ability to put a microscope on every single facet and quantify everything within your brand and your business. So it really was the branding and those features that differentiated whether somebody would buy from your company or from another. But we're not in the 60s or the 70s anymore. And when you can't quantify something and see the value in it, it becomes increasingly less value, to the point where, is it even relevant? Now, that is key to what I'm about to dive into here with this overemphasis on branding, because people are spending so much time over-analyzing those unquantifiable objects. And again, the key word there, those features that really do not portray the value and the reason that somebody, or a new customer specifically, is buying from your ads. Now, the reason that is irresponsible is the right word to use, is because your branding, back to that keyword at the beginning, is a set of features. It is very much the composition of a series of features that make up your branding, especially to a first-time customer who's going to be seeing your ads. It is features such as colors, or fonts, or the actual music you're playing in your video. It is these very minimal, low impact items on the surface level that are being prioritized over the actual benefit and the value that a new customer is going to get. Now, how many times has somebody told you to sell the benefits and not the features? It is intrinsic to marketing language. It is the very backbone of marketing and messaging. And once more, sell the benefits, not the features. Now, I'm not saying that features are not incredibly important in their own right. Once you get to a certain scale and once you've already acquired a customer, features are incredibly important and the branding is incredibly important. But we're talking about scaling your ads to acquire new customer journeys. Nobody is after your feature. They are after your benefit and your value. Again, I need to make myself incredibly clear. I'm not saying that branding is not important, but it is hindering the scalability of your ads, especially when it comes to new customer acquisition. Now, why am I bringing this up? Why is this even relevant to you? And this is because I see this overemphasis with branding across all of the marketing industry right now, especially with smaller brands that are just trying to make their way, brands that are doing anywhere from high 6 to mid 7 figures, who are still trying to find their place and scale up to that next level. They believe that branding is the reason they're having trouble breaking through that plane. And I just had a conversation with an agency owner who's a very bright person who understands this concept very well, and they were unable to test an offer for one of their brands because it was too aggressive and it was too off-brand. It wasn't going to be allowed and it wasn't going to be perceived as on brand in the eyes of the actual brand's internal team. Now, I'm not saying you're gonna go and run a crazy juicy discount, 100% off to new customers, but at the end of the day, when you're running and optimizing your ads, it really is a game of testing, iterating, and optimizing. You're trying to improve the efficiency of your ads so you can scale at a higher efficiency and obviously a higher effectiveness. That is your goal. Every test you make should have the profit in mind of the business. And in order to profit and improve the margin, you generally need to be making tests and making these decisions that are not off-brand, but are actually going to make you more money. Because what is your brand without new customer acquisition, without profit, and without building that legacy that I know every brand owner wants. It could be something as simple as just price point testing, changing your price point and making a radical change there, potentially adding a new product into your bundle, your highest selling bundle, that depositions any of your other competitors because they don't offer anything remotely close to that. And that then puts you on your own level. So there's a plethora of things you can do. It's generally going to be offer-based changes or ways that you're pushing out your content via a certain person or a certain platform. Now, a great example of that, the latter of that, is an ad that I just recently was shared. Now, this ad was an ad for a service and it was featuring an adult actress. Now, this is not an ad that I would say was incredibly well done in terms of production quality. It was not an ad that I would show my mother or my family, but it was an incredibly well done ad for what they were offering. And I can tell you this because the amount of engagement that they were getting in their comment section was incredible. And a lot of brands fail to realize that the engagement on your ad is incredibly important. This is a prime example of somebody taking a jump, a chance, a risk, testing out a piece of content that was not even really necessarily relevant to the brand. The creator was not relevant to that brand. However, they built an ecosystem underneath their ads with an incredible amount of engagement, people talking in threads about how they wanted to take up on this offer. And better yet, the likes, the comments, the shares were huge on the ad. And because of that, it was on Facebook, by the way, Facebook's going to push that ad to many more users. It's going to get lower CPMs. You're probably going to get higher click-through rates. And as a result, a more efficient acquisition of new customers. Now again, to wrap back, I'm not saying that you need to go and hire a bunch of adult actresses to film all your ads, but what I'm saying is that you need to do everything in your power when scaling your ads to improve the efficiency and acquire customer journeys profitably. And everything you should be doing should be with that in mind. So that means that anything that is hindering that objective, anything that's hindering the ability to make more profit and improve your margins should be stopped immediately. What is going to positively impact the scalability of your brand is the efficiency and effectiveness of your advertising when acquiring those new customers. And again, that is going to be testing high impact, high leverage items such as your actual offer and the value the customer is getting versus the cost, which can be done in many different ways. Or it's by increasing the amount of traffic and volume of eyeballs that is getting onto your product and your incredibly irresistible offer. You should be spending all your time when it comes to scaling. Well, if you are the one in charge of scaling your brand and growing your brand profitably, if that's relevant to you, your time needs to be spent getting more eyeballs on your irresistible offer. That is what is relevant. And I say this because, look, colors, donating 2% to plant a tree. These are all things that are great in the long run once you've acquired customers and the reason that you're cementing your legacy amongst these other brands and people perceive you a certain way. But again, we're talking about scaling your ads and we're talking about taking and making tests that are going to improve the scalability of acquiring new customers, the efficiency and effectiveness. And in doing so, you need to get your head out of the sand and have a look at the highest impact levers and spend all your time on those things. You might think I'm crazy for not liking branding, but I am not against branding. Again, I am a big advocate of branding at a certain point in the business and depending on what your objective is. But when it comes to scaling ads, it's very specific, scaling ads, it is hindering your performance. And you need to take yourself out of the branding game and start realizing that the high impact levers are not relevant to said features. Thanks for watching. That's the end of this. Don't need you to like, subscribe, but please give me a comment. Let me know what you think. If you disagree, if you agree, if you have questions, comments, concerns, give me a shout down below and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.